What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Veteran and Rookie Podcast. It's been a minute. We're back and better than ever because we got David for a third time.
Yeah, David's back.
Normally I'd say like third tries the charm, but I mean, we've been hitting the charm every time with David.
Well, I think that's just David hitting the charm.
It's just been fun, guys. It's been fun.
It has been fun. It's really good to have you. You know what else has been fun? The NFL draft.
Ooh, smooth.
So thank you.
Yeah, it was.
Thank you so much.
I am also your veteran, Benea, for those of you who did not know.
I'm John, and that's David.
Mm-hmm.
He is smarter in football than both of us. So
That's why we need him on the show.
that's so true. And he is really excited about this draft, and I was too. I just don't know enough about it. And David knows a lot. So we're going to start here. We're going to go through these divisions and kind of see what we thought about these picks and where we think these teams land and how they're going to do this year.
Mm-hmm. Also going to hit some of just like the free agent signings and trades and whatnot for every team real quick too, and maybe give a little bit of an early, like a way too early prediction for how we feel each team's going to go. Schedule hasn't been released quite yet, so we don't have like the exact win-losses that like all add up across the league or whatever, but who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter too much. We have a couple leaks. We can talk about that towards the end after we talk about this.
Don't bite too hard on the leaks though, because there was a guy last year who made a Twitter account with he just posted just random leaks.
Fooled so many people.
Oh yeah, he had people reporting on him and all kinds of stuff. Oh, this is the game that's gonna happen, and then after like a week, he was like, "Guys, I made it all up."
Did he get any of them right?
I don't remember. They were all made up though.
That's funny,
and
man.
People just believe in anything. So don't.
So well, yeah, we can talk about these fantasy games that may happen.
Mm-hmm. May or may not.
May or may not.
The games will happen. It's just the whole scheduling part of it.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that kind of closer to the end. But for now, we're going to go through the NFC South. We're going to start with Carolina because they had the first draft pick.
Yep, first overall pick. They get their quarterback of the future and best quarterback in this draft, or at least, looking at it now.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Bryce. I would have put Bryce Young over. I mean, I think I said this on the podcast a little while ago.
Mm-hmm. A couple episodes ago.
I had them taking C.J. Stroud at the time.
Mm-hmm.
A week later, all that news came out. Oh, it's definitely C.J. Stroud not going number one because of something that happened. It was his IQ testing, I believe.
Yeah, something like that. He took the test.
It's a new test. He got. I think most of the NFL quarterbacks were getting high 90s and
they were getting
80s.
Like between 70 and 90.
Something like that.
He got an 18.
18. That is ridiculous.
Wow.
Not to put too much weight into that because he was still a good quarterback at Ohio State and he played really well, but this is like a new form of testing.
Yeah.
But still, they tested.
The recent testing has been really good with it though.
Bryce Young, on that test, I might add, he scored one of the highest among all
I think it was like
quarterbacks.
96
and
or something.
We'll get to C.J. Stroud when we get to the Texans in a little bit. But specifically for the Panthers, them getting Bryce Young, I mean, this is their quarterback of the future, and I don't want to overshadow all the other offseason acquisitions that they did have as well on all their other draft picks and all the free agency signings that they had. They did really well. But Bryce Young, that's the one, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the pick.
Yeah. And they're not going to be rushing him into the spotlight either, which I like. They're taking it slow with him. They're going to be starting Andy Dalton now.
That's right.
How long is Andy Dalton going to be playing in the year of 2023? I don't know, but he's at least going to be playing week 1.
Yeah, so with all that being said and with Andy Dalton starting at least to the beginning of the season, how well do you think they'll do and what do you think their rough record is going to be?
I mean, a rookie quarterback, you don't expect playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't think they're a playoff team.
But in this division,
they could be.
They very well could be.
So when I look at their other signings, they lost DJ Moore. We have to remember that. They lost their number one wide receiver.
Yep.
They got a pretty good wide receiver in the draft. Mingo is his name. Is from Mississippi, Jonathan Mingo, and they got him in the second round. He's good, but they got Adam Thielen. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of their 1-2 punch at wide receiver at this point. And then they got Miles Sanders at running back. They got him as well. So I'm looking at that offense. They got Hayden Hurst, tight end from the Bengals.
Yep, he's a very underrated piece.
And
he's really good.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm like, wow, great pickups. They got Von Bell, safety from the Bengals as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so they made some good moves in free agency as well as the draft. I don't expect them to be. I do not expect them to win their division, but their division is not that good to where they could easily do it.
Mm-hmm.
They could feasibly do it, especially with Frank Reich at coach.
Yep, I really like him as their head coach there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bad division. The people who won that division, the Bucks, they do not have Tom Brady anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and they won with an 8-9 record,
Mm-hmm.
which is terrible. And I mean, I think they could do it. I think they go 8-9 because they went 7-10. I mean, I think they can go one more good game. They don't have CMC, but they didn't have him for most of the year, and they started winning games,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really weird. Maybe something like that will happen with the Titans, and if they end up trading Derrick Henry, but we'll see. Later in the episode, we'll talk about that a little more. But yeah, so I think they could do good, but not that good.
No, I think that's probably where I would put him as well. That 8 and 9, kind of more mediocre. Let Bryce develop.
Mm-hmm.
Let him develop with Frank Reich first.
Yep.
Don't push him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see this. Yeah, I could see it being an 8-win team. They kind of feel more like a 5 to 6 win team though.
Maybe.
But I'd be surprised if they had a winning record for sure.
Right.
Okay.
But yeah, they had some solid pickups. We'll see how Miles Sanders does for them. He's coming off, I think, a career year in Philadelphia, but in the nature of the position, I mean, unless you're like a Hall of Fame caliber running back, this is about the time where you start to fall off.
Right.
So, and I don't think Miles Sanders is a Hall of Fame talent. So, we'll see. It might work out for a year or two, but
Miles Sanders was the Eagles player, right?
yep,
Yeah,
Eagles running back last year.
That's right. I think I heard something about him, and he had really good numbers, but it was because he was behind the best offensive line.
Yeah,
in
that
the
helps.
league. And yeah, I mean,
He's still a good running back.
he was a good running back, but he's not like a good running back.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He's not there to carry the team like CMC, but I guess they're not really doing that anymore. They're not going to be putting it on the back of a running back.
Right.
Wait. Yeah, they're not going to be putting it on a running back. They're going to be trying to develop their quarterback. I think year after this, I think that could be really good.
Yeah, give it a year for him to develop because, I mean, yeah, we saw that with the last two kind of, like generational type talent that we talk about with like Joe Burrow. It took him a year. Trevor Lawrence took him a year to really even.
It takes time.
Exactly. Yeah, we can't expect not because like Justin Herbert being really good as a rookie, that almost never happens.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would expect Young to be something where he might only have 12 touchdowns and 15 interceptions.
Sure.
Only complete 58% of his passes or something like that. But I mean, for a rookie, that's pretty standard.
That's kind of what Pickens did, or Pickett.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So maybe not this year, but maybe next year they'll be a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna go to the Bucks next.
Tampa Bay.
Nice.
What do you guys think about the Bucks?
I don't love them.
Yeah, I think they'll
like
lose this division. Like, I think they'll be at the bottom this year.
They'll be at the bottom for
Yeah,
sure.
because they got Baker Mayfield, but he's Baker Mayfield. He's very hot, very cold. He'll have his moments in Tampa Bay for sure, both good and bad. He doesn't have the best talent around. I mean, he's got Mike Evans. He's got Chris Godwin. That's a solid duo of receivers to throw to.
Yeah. I saw they pick up, what's his name, Trask or Trash?
Kyle.
Yeah, they got
Kyle
Trask back there as well.
They have another quarterback too, right?
And then they just signed John Wolford.
Yeah,
So-
so
Yeah,
it's
they
just
got
like
Wolf.
Just an exciting quarterback room there in Tampa Bay.
it's all the same
And
guy.
then Baker Mayfield. Yeah.
When Baker Mayfield's the best out of the three, it's kind of like you're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel
Yeah.
there. It's not pretty.
Yeah, I'm looking at the roster right now. I'm looking at their draft, and I don't think it was bad.
Yeah, I kind of like their draft.
They emphasized the line a lot.
Yeah.
They went defensive line first round,
Tackle.
offensive line second round, defensive line third round, and then they actually started to dip into some of the other positions after that. But I like that. I think that's how you build a good team.
Exactly, yeah.
I think for them, they're like, okay, let's invest in the future now. We had our Super Bowl, right? We had our good years with Tom Brady. Now let's just kind of invest in the future. We're not going to pay a lot of money to a quarterback right now, big money, right? We'll save our salary cap space, and they're kind of pushing it off for the future. I like the direction they're headed in, but they will be fourth place in the NFC South.
I feel like the big thing for the Bucs here is how do we go back to not being the pre-Tom Brady Bucs?
Right.
Because I could see them very easily going back to being anywhere from mediocre at best to like a 1 or 2 win team at worst, like they were for like the last 15 years before Tom Brady got there.
And settling for a quarterback like Jameis Winston, who don't get me wrong, like this is no offense to Jameis Winston, he's not a Super Bowl quarterback.
Yeah.
He's not. Right?
I don't even know who that is, so
yeah, like Jameis Winston when he was on there, it was like for 5 years, it seemed like, oh, they could do it. They could make some sort of a run, and he threw too many picks. And it was like there's
30-30 season.
You have to nail the quarterback position.
Right.
And if the Buccaneers could not feasibly do that this year, so don't even try. Do it next year or the year after that, right? There are 2 great quarterback candidates coming out in the draft next year.
I've already seen some Caleb Williams Bucs edits and whatnot, like
or May.
Drake May.
Yeah, don't sleep on him. Yeah, so I like the direction the Buccaneers are headed. Just right now, no, they're fourth place.
Yep, they're going to be probably a 5-12. They feel like a 5-12 to me.
It's kind of what I was thinking.
They might even be 4
4-13. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it does help again being in that division though, because that's
true.
That should be a couple of wins there.
That's
but
true.
We'll see. I mean, if they're the worst in this bad division already, I mean, they might be the team that just gets swept by their division too. I mean, who knows?
Right.
But yeah, I do agree with you. I like how their first 3 picks there, building in the trenches, and even outside of that, like they didn't get flashy until like they didn't get a skill position player until the 6th round.
That's right.
Because after they got linemen and whatnot, they then linebacker, tight end. They need to go DB, so something I guess a little more flashy there, if you will. And then wide receiver, and then another edge. So building that defense, and it makes sense. Todd Bowles, defensive-minded coach. He's going to lean on that defense.
Yeah. So let's go Falcons next. What do you guys think about the Falcons?
I really like a lot of the things the Falcons did outside of the quarterback position.
What do you like about the quarterback position? Let's hear it.
Well, I don't trust Desmond Ridder. I don't trust him as much as they seem to trust him to be their quarterback of the future. He very well could be. Maybe he breaks out in year 2 here with the Falcons. But I don't see that from the little bit that I did see of him last year. And then, of course, you got Taylor Heineke there, which what you're getting from him. I guess if they're really struggling, one of the things with Heineke it's just, I guess, weird about him is like he's a winner. He won a lot of games in Washington he shouldn't have probably, just like the way that he plays and whatnot. Like he doesn't play like an elite quarterback or anything like that, but like he'll win those, 16 to 14 games and that kind of stuff. He'll make just enough plays. So, I mean, maybe if it comes down to that, or if Ridder can even just do something like that, I think this team could definitely take the division. They got 2 good running backs on their team now. They got Tyler Algier, and then they got Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, they got Bijan
in the first round there.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit early, but I mean, even if he's like a Saquon Barkley or someone like that, I mean, you can kind of just let your offense run right through him. And then especially, again, in this division, you might only need 8 or 9 wins to take it. And that might be enough to do it for them.
Yeah. Do you think it was that big of a reach to go for that running back if they really wanted him? And
maybe not talent-wise, but just like
positional.
Exactly, positional value. It's almost become like a standard, I guess, to where like you really shouldn't take a running back in the first round because, I mean, Tyler Algier was a 6th round pick or something like that last year, 5th round pick,
right?
And he ran for 1,000 yards last year, so I don't think it was a big need for them. But I mean, if that's also like your 1-2 punch, that's a pretty good 1-2 punch to have.
So the Atlanta Falcons are they're such an interesting franchise. They make first round picks they make some of the weirdest first round picks. Because last year they got Drake London, who I didn't think should have gone. He should not have been the first wide receiver taken, but he was taken first at pick number 8 when most of the wide receivers were supposed to go in the teens,
ahead of like Olave and Garrett.
Right, and I don't know. When I look at the wide receiver production, Olave was way better than London was, and so was Garrett. So was Garrett Wilson. So I'm a little skeptical on the Bijan Robinson pick, and because of that. And listen, most NFL scouts will all agree Bijan Robinson he's a generational talent. Awesome. So is Saquon Barkley. Guess what the New York Giants' record was the year they picked Saquon Barkley in the first round?
Didn't they go like 4 wins or something?
3-13.
Yeah,
was their record.
That's crazy.
So I'm looking at the Atlanta Falcons and saying, you got a running back that's amazing, great. For fantasy's sake, cha-ching. Get him in the first round. Like, for fantasy football's sake, awesome.
Yeah, because if you only have a good running back, I mean, it goes to him. It's like,
exactly right.
I'm picking that guy.
Well, for winning real football games.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thought here is I don't trust Desmond Ridder either, and I don't trust Taylor Heineke to lead a Falcons team that had a lot. By the way, they have a lot of other needs. Their offensive line. I know that they addressed it in the second round, but they could have gotten the offensive tackle from Northwestern.
Yeah.
There.
Did you see what Arthur Smith said about him?
What did he?
He told him that he was too boring, and that's why he didn't want to take him.
That's why they lose games.
And Falcons,
Exactly.
Falcons, you got to listen to this right now. If you want to have success in the NFL, you got to make the boring picks.
Exactly.
You have to.
I was like, I want a boring lineman. Like,
fine.
get in the trenches and do it. Like,
they don't give up any sacks. They're boring. No, that's what you want.
Yeah.
I never notice him out there.
Yeah. They probably should have gone Jalen Carter at 8 is what they probably should have done. And a lot of other teams probably should have done before the Eagles got him, but
get the hometown guy right there.
The Falcons, I do not think they will do well, not because I don't think they have talent on the team. I think they have a lot of talent on their team. I don't think they have the quarterback, and I'm not convinced of the coach either.
Yeah, that's what I say. Like, Kyle Pitts, are you going to do something? Like, I don't know how much of this is a Kyle Pitts issue versus exactly a schematic issue.
I don't think it's not Kyle Pitts'
because I think Kyle Pitts is still a very good tight end, and I think he's being used the wrong way in Atlanta.
Right.
They're using him as an O lineman because he's not getting out there and catching anything. I had him in fantasy.
It also doesn't help that, like, last year I had Mariota thrown to him because there were a lot of, like, either overthrows or, like, if Mariota put the ball in a better place, he gets, 15 yards after the catch, but no, he has to spin around and jump up and get it. So that's where it comes down to, like, the quarterback play, like, they had a chance to go out and, like, get Lamar, and they didn't pull the trigger on that. Or, any of these other quarterbacks who were available, they could have maybe taken Will Levis at 8 overall there, or even like traded back up into the first or early in the second to get him. But I guess they're content with Ridder. And
if your highest need on your team is QB,
and you go running back, you
cannot expect to win your division. I don't care what division you're in,
and it's
you
also
can't expect to win it.
Speaking of the head coach there, like it's Arthur Smith's third season, which is a lot of times the make or break, and you're gonna have that all rest on Desmond Ridder.
Good luck.
I don't know.
I have heard Will Levis. I think
I have also heard rumors of Tannehill to Atlanta, which I think would be good for them.
Would help them, give them a veteran quarterback presence. I still think you needed some sort of a dynamic playmaker.
Yeah.
I think that they should have traded up. There was a lot of calls for that number 2 pick. The Texans were shopping it. I think C.J. Stroud could have
go up and get C.J. Stroud or Anthony Richardson.
But you're right. Will Levis at 8. What was wrong with that? They could have traded back. Will Levis didn't go to the second round.
That's what I'm saying. They trade up at 27th overall or whatever, and take him there. But
some dumb people.
Other than that, I really like a lot of their offseason. Jesse Bates. That was a good signing.
Yeah,
there.
good signing by. Yeah, that's a good one.
It's like I like a lot of their roster outside of the quarterback.
I agree.
And you can't do it on a running back. You have to have a good quarterback.
And you know what? The New Orleans Saints did that.
Yeah.
They got Derek Carr.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, I don't think that was the right move. I don't think that's Derek Carr made it to the playoffs. He's proven that he can do that.
He's the best quarterback in this division, and it's not even close.
I agree. Completely agree. And if you looked at what they did in the draft, like they made the boring picks. They got Brian Breezy in the first round.
Nailed it.
Yeah, you called that one. He called that one in our mock draft.
He did.
Clemson tackle. They got Foskey, who should have been a first rounder, could have been a first rounder.
Yep.
Edge rusher from Notre Dame in the second round.
Yeah, steal.
They had some great underrated picks throughout this whole draft. And I'm looking at some of the others. Nick Saldivari, the guard from Old Dominion. He should have gone third round. Like they made some value picks throughout the draft on the lines. And then in free agency, they addressed the QB. They went out and got Jamal Williams from the Lions, running back. We got to remember that. They re-signed their tight end, Juwan Johnson. They re-signed Michael Thomas, their wide receiver, who seems like should be elite when he can see the field. Right?
Yeah, he can
be good. They still have Chris Olave. I don't see why the Saints can't win this division.
Yeah, they should. Like they still got that good defense. They still got Cam Jordan. They still got what's his face in the secondary. What's their corner's name? I'm blanking.
Yeah,
Marshawn
Lattimore.
There we go.
Great corner.
They got Tyrann Mathieu still back there. Like they got a pretty solid team. They should win this division. They should go. I'm gonna say 10-7.
Yeah, get it.
I give them that. And you know what? When last year they kind of had a makeshift quarterback throughout the year, and they kind of had some struggles.
Yeah, back and forth between Jameis and
they still did
Dalton.
fine. They still they were in the playoff hunt till the very end.
Oh yeah,
I mean that whole division.
I mean, if they had beat the Bucks on that Monday night or Thursday night game or whatever, they would have taken that division.
Yeah,
and then they choked, but.
That happens.
Yeah, the Saints are the only one. I'm looking at these rosters. The Saints are the only ones that I think actually upgraded in the NFC South from last year, which is saying something because I don't think the NFC South was that good to begin with.
Yeah. Let's go to the NFC West now. Let's start with the Niners.
Ooh. Yeah, David has some takes on the 49ers. I've heard at Chipotle.
Let's hear it.
Yep. Okay. Well, so I think they made some great offseason additions, specifically getting Javon Hargrave from the Eagles. Yep. That's huge. That's phenomenal that they did that. They re-signed their safeties, Gibson. They went out and got Sam Darnold as to throw that in their quarterback room, which I don't think they needed because they have Brock Purdy and Trey Lance.
Who do you think they're starting this year?
I think they're starting Trey Lance. I think he's going to win back his starting job. I think you should have traded Trey Lance to the Vikings.
Probably.
I think it's what should have happened.
Yeah.
I think Brock Purdy should be your future. I've seen this happen before 4 years ago with the Philadelphia Eagles. Nick Foles just won the Super Bowl. But for some reason, we're going to keep Carson Wentz after his injury. Doesn't matter. We're going to keep him, and we're going to continue on with Wentz. Didn't turn out so well. And so, I think you go with the quarterback that's proven it on the field. You don't go with the quarterback that's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right, because they got kind of that sunk cost value now.
Right.
In the Trey Lance.
Now, in Shanahan's offensive system, it pretty much almost feels like any quarterback can thrive in it.
Everyone was saying that, and everyone was saying that you could put, a fifth grader on the field and be fine. But what happened in that game against the Eagles...
NFC Championship game. Yep.
Yeah, because once Josh Johnson got in there before he got hurt, he was...
And this is the reason why I'm not as high on the Niners. I think the Niners will still win their division. I do.
Yeah.
But I'm not as high on the Niners as other people are because I don't think they addressed their real need, which was offensive line. When you go back and watch that NFC Championship game, the Eagles' defensive line demolished their quarterbacks. They injured them. But it's because 2 seconds they're in the backfield at their quarterback's throat.
That's also the Eagles' defensive line.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. But the Chiefs could stop it.
Yeah, I mean, that's true too.
So I don't know. I'm looking at the Niners right now, and I'm like, well, first off, phenomenal defense.
Oh yeah,
they have a phenomenal defense. I know they lost their defensive coordinator. I don't think they're going to miss. I don't think they're going to miss a beat.
They've missed their defensive coordinator before.
Exactly. I think their defense will be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Their offense will also be fine because of Shanahan, except for their offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at what some of the NFC West teams did in this offseason, or maybe what they should have done, they probably should have emphasized defensive line because that's how the Eagles beat the Niners.
Yeah.
And I think that is the Niners' weakness. I don't think the Niners are going to win the Super Bowl. I don't think they'll even make it to the Super Bowl. But I do think they will win their division because I think they're just so talented.
That's They took a safety and a kicker and a
kicker third round
and a tight end
yeah.
and a corner and there's no offensive line to be seen. And I mean, maybe they've improved over the offseason. They got better. They trained more, whatever. But I don't know.
And they lost Mike McGlinchey to the Broncos, who was their starting right tackle anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to fill
So their
him.
offensive line got worse.
It got worse.
Oh.
And I don't think it was Super Bowl caliber anyways. So just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if they start Trey Lance, he's going to be getting hornswoggled back there.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. He's going to break his other ankle.
Yeah, and then they'll just put Brock Purdy back in. So
Yeah.
it'll be okay. So let's talk Seahawks.
Seahawks, they did go defensive line.
They did. They got defensive
second
line
round,
in their offseason too with Draymond Jones from the Broncos. They also got Jaron Reed from the Packers.
Yep.
They got those. They went linebacker. They got Devin Bush from the Steelers. They got Julian Love, safety from the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
So they really emphasized defense before the draft. And then they get Devin Witherspoon first round.
Yep.
Yeah. And
then, of course, Geno Smith coming back on that deal.
Yep, we got Geno Smith coming back. They got him another weapon.
Yep.
So, I mean,
Jigba.
that offense is just going to get better with Jackson Smith and Jigba. And then they got that running back in the second round.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then just a bunch more defense.
Yep. They
And
got an
then
edge
another-
rusher early in the second. So, yeah, building up that defense.
Mm-hmm. I like the Zach. Don't sleep on the Zach Charbonnet pick from running back from UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Watch him. He's going to be he's going to fill that Rashad Penny role in Seattle very well.
So him and Kenneth Walker as that 1-2 punch.
It will be dangerous.
Rashard Penny got traded, right?
He's on the
He's
Eagles.
on the Eagles now.
Yep,
Okay.
he was a free
Yep.
agent, I think.
So, I think that I love what the Seahawks did. I love the Devin Witherspoon. Their corners are going to be dynamite. They should have gone defensive line in the first round. My only weakness for them is for Seattle, you have to beat the Niners. That has to be on your mind.
Yep.
No NFC team really stopped them last season except for the Niners in their own division. How do you beat the Niners? The Eagles showed you in the NFC Championship game.
Defense.
You need a defensive line.
That's where you take Jalen Carter at 5.
They should have done that, and they didn't do that, and that's why I'm not sure they can win the division. But I love what they did in the draft, nonetheless.
Yeah, I don't think they beat the Niners, but I think they can still take that second spot and get to a wild card.
I agree.
I think they'll have another win. I think they can go 10 wins this year.
I was going to say 10 wins. What do you think in Niners? We didn't hit a record for them. I would say 12-5.
I probably think they stay the same, 13-4, 12-5, something like that.
Yeah, we'll say 12-5. I think they start Trey Lance at the beginning of the season and realize it was a mistake.
He's bad, yeah.
By week 6 or something like that, they go back to Purdy.
They win 2 of their first 4 games. They go back to Brock Purdy. They start winning again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Destroying it.
Yeah.
How about the Rams?
Shoot, man, the Rams.
Bouncing back, or at least trying to bounce back after the worst Super Bowl hangover in NFL history.
Palmer guys.
Won the Super Bowl, and then they go out and win 5 games the next year. Still no first-round pick for them, but they did have an early pick in the second round. They used on a guard, which they desperately needed. They got a lot of holes right now.
Yep.
Offensive line's probably the biggest one, though.
I agree. I think that offensive line, it all depends on how that offensive line really does this season, because last season they didn't really have a chance. They had a lot of injuries within the first 2 to 3 games.
Yep.
And Matthew Stafford was out.
He was never healthy to begin with.
Exactly.
Yeah, his arm wasn't working all the way, and it was bad.
And you're not good. Sorry, he's your guy, right? You're not gonna win with Baker Mayfield as your quarterback. You just won't. Sorry.
Except for that one game, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the one game against the Raiders and the 50 burger they had on Christmas.
Yeah, the Broncos had a meltdown on Christmas. Oh boy. Yeah, I think the Rams will go. Listen, the Rams are kind of the unknowns in this because do they have a top 5 coach in the NFL?
Oh yeah,
I think they do.
I think they got the top 2 coach at number 2.
Sean McVay is phenomenal coach. If Matthew Stafford can come back healthy and that offensive line can stay healthy, they still have Aaron Donald, one of the greatest defensive tackles on their team, ever on their team.
Yeah.
They still have Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. I think he's the best receiver in the league still.
Right. And they still have other threats too. They still have Van Jefferson. They still have some other pieces. I'm not saying that they're going to go out and win their division. But I do think that they can make some noise depending on their health. So I don't know. I would probably give them an 8-9 record.
Yeah, I think they'll bounce back, just not too far.
Yeah.
I could see them being a wild card team, though.
I could see it, yeah.
That.
Why not? In this NFC, why not?
What do you think about the Cardinals with little Call of Duty boy?
Oh, boy. Yeah. Yeah, people liked what they did in the draft. I love that pick at number 6 with Paris Johnson. I'm looking at some of their other picks. Listen, the Cardinals are kind of a mess right now.
Yeah, they're not.
I don't think they'll do well personally. Jonathan Gannon as their coach. I don't think it started well, and I don't think it's going to end well.
Do you think he could be like a one and done?
I'm not sure he'll be a one and done. I think he's got too much. I think he's been given too much say over the organization as of right now. But yeah, I don't think he's gonna last for a long time. And I like Jonathan Gannon. I'm an Eagles fan. I like Jonathan Gannon.
Yeah.
I don't think he's head coaching material personally.
Yeah, offensively, how do you think the Arizona Cardinals are doing right now? Because they did get a wide receiver. What do you think about Michael Wilson?
They're going into the season with Colt McCoy at quarterback, though.
Oh,
because Murray, he tore his ACL.
Sure, he's still hurt.
And they still I think they're going to be a team that like picks up like a Carson Wentz or a Teddy Bridgewater.
And it's not. But I like Michael Wilson from Stanford. He's a wide receiver from Stanford that they got. I like that. I like those. Like, I'm not saying that I don't like their draft. I do. I like Paris Johnson Jr., one of the best picks in my opinion, value picks in the first round. B.J. Ujulari from LSU. We'll see. I like him in Jonathan Gannon's defensive system. I could see him working there.
Right.
But once again, what I did not like from Jonathan Gannon as an Eagles fan, I did not like his game day preparation, not just in the Super Bowl, which there really was none in the Super Bowl. I didn't like his preparation all season long. If you would have asked me as an Eagles fan at any point last season, what's our weakness? I would have said Jonathan Gannon as a defensive coordinator. He doesn't blitz like he should. He doesn't utilize some of the players like he should. Jordan Davis was on the sideline way too much last season as a first-round pick. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm looking at this team, and I'm saying I don't think they have it in the coach. I don't think they have it in the quarterback. Kyler Murray, to me, has not proven. He hasn't proven it. Yeah. You're at Call of Duty boy. Hasn't proven it yet. And I don't like their organization management. There's a lot of dysfunction from what I'm hearing.
And it doesn't sound like they believe in Murray either. Because did you see there was a trade that almost went down actually to send him to the Falcons, apparently. Rumor has it. That almost happened. And so...
Yeah.
Because he's also he's not their guy. It's new GM, new head coach, new regime there. And maybe they don't want to deal with it. But he also has that big contract too. So, I don't know.
And I'm looking at their signings too. They got rid of Zach Allen, who was their best edge rusher. Now they got Kazir White from the Eagles. Take it from me as an Eagles fan, he didn't really do anything. So yeah. I'm looking at the Cardinals. They didn't really do much in free agency either. So I would expect them to be worst in the division. I'd probably give them a 4 4-13.
4-13.
That's what they did this year.
Maybe 5 wins. I don't think they're going to do well.
I'm going to say 2-15.
Yeah.
First overall pick, and then they trade Kyler Murray away because they're getting a new quarterback. First overall.
That would be wise.
Yeah, get it, I guess. NFC North. Let's hear it. You're a Packers fan, so we're gonna go Packers last. Let's start with the Minnesota Vikings. What do you think about the Vikings?
Psych.
Vikings draft. Everything.
How about that first round pick? By the way, you said I don't know if you remember this in our mock draft. You said Quentin Johnson, wide receiver to the Vikings, because adding another wide receiver to that locker room would be dynamite. They didn't get Quentin Johnson, but I think they got the best wide receiver in the draft in Jordan Addison.
You think he's the best?
I think he's the best. Yeah, I think I'm not sure I love the fit in Minnesota. I think he's more of a first. He's like he's a Justin Jefferson type wide receiver. I don't think they needed another one of those. But
if they play together,
exactly. So I think I really liked the Vikings draft, specifically that first pick. I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They only had they had all their picks except for round 2. They didn't have a round 2 pick. But they had a running back in the late in their 7th, and they had a quarterback in their 5th round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. They didn't address defenses as much as I think they should have. I mean, their next 3 picks after Addison were corner, defensive tackle. But again, that's a 3rd, 4th, and 5th round pick. How much of an impact are they going to make? What did they do much in free agency defensively?
They got Marcus Davenport from the Saints. He's a defensive end. So
that's a good pickup.
They got something. They got a tackle from the Packers, more of a low end tackle.
Oh yeah, Dean Lowry, right?
Yeah. So I mean, besides those, not really. And they got Byron Murphy from the Cardinals corner. So they did do something.
And they did get Brian Flores, I believe, to be their defensive
DC.
I think that could actually have a much bigger change than anything else.
To me, the Vikings defense was so bad last year.
Awful. The worst.
So bad. And to me they didn't upgrade. I feel like it was a wash.
Yeah. But I think with Flores there, I think they will improve. Just like schematically and whatnot.
What do you think of Kirk Cousins?
He's a good DC. I think Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins. Like,
I agree with that statement.
Factually true.
I agree with that statement. No, yeah, you're right. Kirk Cousins.
They're not going to win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins there.
Right.
They'll win, 7 to 12 games, I guess, with him, and maybe a playoff game. And that's it, because he is almost, I guess, like a glorified game manager almost, where like he puts up good numbers and he'll make some good plays, but he's not elite though.
Jimmy G.
Mm-hmm.
That's Perk Thuggins and Jimmy G.
I think they will win 9 games.
I don't think they take the division.
I don't think so either.
I think they win 9 games. That's, and I don't think they're going to win more. Personally,
yeah,
I could be dead wrong,
especially with that defense. Because I mean, if you look like historically, especially when teams win, bunch of 1-score games like that almost never happens back-to-back seasons.
Right.
And they won the most 1-score games ever in a season, I believe. It was like 11 or 12 of their wins.
They ended net points with -3.
Right, and I don't think Kirk Cousins is going to be able to replicate that.
Mm-hmm.
No. And so, yeah, I agree with you. Like, this feels like an 8 or 9 win team, and it's not even really the offense. It's just that defense is so bad, and then the offense still led by Kirk Cousins is going to be very hit or miss.
Yeah, because even with like a scorching hot offense, if your defense blows, you can't do much. That's what the Lions had.
Yeah, I was going to say, ask the Lions about that last
year.
For
6 weeks, it's just trash.
35 points a game and then giving up 36.
What do you guys think of the Lions this season?
I liked them this season, and it kind of sucks that they lost
Williams,
but they addressed it. They got a running back first round. I mean, that's really high, but they got one. Gibbs, I don't know too much about him. What do you think?
Jahmyr Gibbs, listen, I have my own opinions on drafting a running back. The second best running back at pick 12.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that. But Jahmyr Gibbs is crazy talented. Crazy talented running back. I really like him. I think he's going to be very good. Lions are in win now mode. When you look at all their picks, they're in win now mode. They got Jahmyr Gibbs, second best running back in the draft. Mm-hmm. Jack Campbell, in my opinion, second best linebacker in the draft. They got Sam Laporta, tight end from Iowa.
Second best in the draft?
I wouldn't say second best. I think I would put Michael Mayer and Dalton Kincaid ahead of him pretty easily. But it was a deep tight end class. Yeah. So it's not like they got better for sure in tight end. Brian Branch, best safety in the class from Alabama. They got Hendon Hooker, great developmental prospect at quarterback.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at their team. I don't love the value that they got, but they sure got better. I think they got way better. And let's not sleep on that they got C.J. Gardner-Johnson from the Eagles.
Yep.
They got David Montgomery from the Bears, running back.
Solid running back, yeah.
They got Emmanuel Mosley, cornerback from the Niners. They made certain moves this offseason that, to me, a lot of little moves that vault them into probably first place in the division.
Yeah, I hope they take it. I want them to have this division. I think they can be a 12-win team.
That's what I was going to say. I was like 11 or 12 wins feels right for this team.
Yeah.
Let's say 12.
Let's say 12. Let's be optimistic. I
12
like Dan
wins.
Campbell.
12-5 right there.
Get it, bald guy. I like Dan Campbell.
I could see that. I think he's a pretty good coach. I think he's an underrated coach.
I think so too.
Inspires his men.
He's a cool guy too. I mean, a couple years back, he was gonna get the first overall pick, and then they had one game left, and he's like, I'm gonna still try and go out there and win this thing. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that.
And they also got one of the best offensive coordinators in the league.
That's right,
Ben Johnson.
Yeah, good stuff. So I'm excited.
Try to take advantage of probably. He might only have one more season with him before he gets a head coaching job.
I love what the Lions did. I thought they were good last season.
Mm-hmm.
I just think they needed to upgrade their defense a little bit.
They pulled it together at the end, though.
I think they have something. In the end, exactly. I think they pulled it together in the end. I don't think they made the moves that I would have to upgrade the defense, but they did pull it together in the end. We'll see what they do.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're most upgraded in their division, though. I think that goes to the Chicago Bears.
The Bears.
Okay. Tell me your opinion on the Bears, because I have no idea what happened with the Bears. Like, honestly, I don't have any clue.
So first round, they did what they should have done. They got Darnell Wright, offensive lineman from Tennessee.
Yeah, buddy.
Great pick. Second round, they did what they should have done. They got a big defensive tackle from Florida, Gervon Dexter Sr.
Yep.
They also addressed more a tackle later on in Zach Pickens. They got Tyler Scott. I liked him a lot, wide receiver from Cincinnati. They got Bijan Robinson's backup from Texas, Roshan Johnson, running back. So they made some great moves in the draft, but it's really what they did in the rest of the offseason that was so good. They got Dante Foreman, running back from the Panthers.
Yep.
Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker from the Bills. TJ Edwards, linebacker from the Eagles. Nate Davis, guard from the Titans. All of those picks right there, phenomenal offseason additions. And let's remember, they got DJ Moore.
Yep.
They got their wide receiver. So
finally got Justin Fields a weapon.
I could keep reading them off. They got Robert Tonyan from the Packers. They got Travis Homer, running back from the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. They got Andrew Billings, a good decent tackle from the Raiders. And then they have got a bunch of draft capital in the future because they traded back from number 1 overall.
Right.
So they did well. They did very well. This is the season. This season is all about their quarterback, Justin Fields. Mm-hmm. It's all about him. He has the wide receivers now. He got the offensive line help. He has the running backs. He has some good linebackers on defense and some key additions there. The question is, how will Justin Fields respond?
Yeah, he didn't have a lot of time in the pocket last year, and he didn't have much to throw to. So he didn't get better at throwing because he wasn't good at throwing either. Because when there was wide open receivers, the ground was more wide open apparently, or the other team, so he'd throw to them. And if he didn't feel like throwing, he'd just run. That's why he got 1,200 yards. And hopefully he gets better. I don't think he'll be good first half of the season with throwing. He does have a whole offseason to get better, but he just got a good wide receiver, and he got another wide receiver from the draft. So hopefully he'll have somebody to throw to, and hopefully he'll be able to hit them. So I don't think they're going to be that good, but I think they could get a wild card maybe.
I think they're going to be a pretty solid team. I think Fields is going to turn out to be at least a solid NFL
I think solid, yeah. I don't think he'll be up on that like that tier where there's a couple other quarterbacks. He'll be at that just below.
Yeah. I think for this year's Bears team, I'm going to say 8-9.
I'll go one above. I'll say 9-8.
I was thinking a 9-win team.
And that could be enough to get you that 7 seed.
You never know.
Yeah, it could be. All right, last. Green Bay Packers.
Last, this is Packers.
The Packers. Let's hear it, Benay. What did you think?
I liked a lot what they did in the draft. With no receivers taken yet at pick 13, I was really hoping they'd go Addison or Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Nope.
They made a very Packers pick in Lucas Van Ness, who I think he's going to be a good player. It's just it was just a touch underwhelming on draft night, but I mean, it reminds me of Rashawn Gary when he was drafted. Mm-hmm. That was also very underwhelming, but he's gotten better every season, and they're planning for the future because this will probably be Preston Smith's final season with the Packers, and so, and even while he's still here, that's a good rotation to have those guys in there for, because they got 4 good edge rushers now. If Van Ness is good and if Quay Walker develops, and of course you got Rashawn Gary coming back from his ACL. We'll see how he recovers from that. Second and third round, day 2, I really like what they did. We had no tight ends on our roster, so we went out, got Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft doubling down on tight end. So hopefully at least one of them will be solid, and I think at least one of them will. And then we did get a receiver in Jaden Reed out of Michigan State. He looks to be pretty good, and I think that'll be a good complement to, if Christian Watson can develop, if Romeo Doubs can continue to develop, and then you add Jalen Reed. It's not the flashiest receiving core, but it's definitely a solid one. It's definitely an upgraded one from a year ago. A little bit later in the draft, we also got our Mason Crosby replacement in Anders Carlson, brother of I was going to say Tucker Carlson, but that is not
the right guy.
Daniel Carlson, kicker for the Raiders.
Nice.
And yeah, it sounds like Crosby's gone. He's not on the team right now, and it's understandable. He's a very solid kicker, but again, he can hit from 50 yards. If he's got the wind at his back, maybe he can hit from 55, 56. But very reliable kicker, but he doesn't really have it anymore. So, if Anders is anything like his brother, I think we got ourselves our kicker for the next 15 years. Kickers are very hit or miss though, but yeah, overall, I think we had a good draft. Didn't do a whole lot in free agency. Our biggest thing was re-signing our kick returner, Keyshawn Nixon.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of
It's
stuff
that
to
it's
do.
that Aaron Rodgers. Guys, we can't talk about the Packers without talking about Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers sent to the Jets for essentially a first-round pick, unless he gets hurt.
It'll be a first.
But yeah, that will almost definitely be a first-round pick next year. So I like that, getting that first-round pick for a guy who might only play for the Jets for 2 years. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even 1. He's old.
I'm interested to see how the Packers do without Aaron Rodgers on the team. I think it'll be better.
I think this is a big year for Matt LaFleur.
The drama's out of the room.
Yep.
LaFleur, it's all about you.
Because I don't think we've seen a true Matt LaFleur offense in Green Bay. Because I think Aaron Rodgers still wanted to do things his way. Yes, there was, bringing LaFleur in, I think, was a big reason why he won those 2 MVPs. He definitely changed his playing style a little bit and whatnot. He changed things up. But I don't think it changed up as much as LaFleur wanted it to. And now that I think that he's got his own quarterback in there that he drafted and that he's been, molding and helping develop for the last 3 seasons now, I think we're going to see what a Matt LaFleur offense really looks like.
What's your record?
I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to say 10-7.
I think you'll win one more. I'm going to say 9-8. I'm going to say you tie the Bears for second. I like that Aaron Rodgers is gone. I think that helps. I am not convinced that Jordan Love is the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He's good. I like him. I like what I see. I need to see more.
Exactly, yeah. Because he only played in 3 games or whatever. It's only started 1. Packers fans need to be patient though, because this is not going to be our year. We're not winning the Super Bowl this year, unless Jordan Love is like the second coming of Patrick Mahomes. He's not. There's only one Patrick Mahomes. So yeah, this is going to be. I think it's going to be a little bit of a rocky year for Jordan Love. I think he's going to have his ups and his downs for sure.
Yeah. All right. We're on to the East. Let's talk about the Commanders real quick. We don't have to talk too long about them, but
thank goodness.
Thank goodness. Yeah, let's start with the worst one.
Yeah, I think they reached on Emmanuel Forbes in the first round. Jartavius Martin in the second round. He's a cornerback from Illinois. He was opposite of Witherspoon. And that Illinois secondary was just talented all around. I can't really judge that pick because was the success that corner had, was it on the defense that he was around, or was he really that talented? And they double dipped in corner from 1 and 2. I'm not the biggest fan of that. So I don't really like their draft. And when you look at their offseason, they got I don't think they got better, because I actually think that they lost Heineke. Mm-hmm. And I think Heineke actually won them some games. I get it. They got Jacoby Brissett. And the brisket guy I don't think is going to win you. I don't think he's going to win you more than 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I don't see it. I don't see it happening.
Do you think Sam Howell is all they're trying to hype him up to be?
No, I don't. I don't think he's that good.
Because he played one good game at the end of last year. Or not. He didn't even complete 60% of his passes. It wasn't even that good. It was just he had some flashy moments in a meaningless game against the Cowboys.
I don't see how the Washington Commanders. Listen, they got some offensive linemen in the offseason. They got Andrew Wiley from the Chiefs. Good job. They got Nick Gates from the Giants, offensive lineman. That's decent signing. But you don't have the quarterback unless you think Riverboat Ron is gonna. Unless you think he's that good of a coach, I don't think you have a coach either. And I don't think they have, didn't they get a new owner?
I think, or they're really close to it or something like that.
Yeah, there was some controversy with somebody offering $1 billion more, but upfront, and some weird stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Last season they won a sneaky amount of eight games.
They were in the playoff race until week 17.
Right, they won a sneaky amount of games. Yeah. Second-year quarterback Sam Howell is not going to get his team out of the cellar in a loaded NFC East.
Mm-hmm.
They're 4th again. In fact, I think they'll win 6 games.
Yeah, I'm going to go one up on you, say 7, just because I do think Rivera's a solid coach.
Right.
And I don't think they've done worse than 7 wins in a season since he's been there, since 2020. So
I'll take 7 as well.
Okay. It feels like they've been the exact same team since he went there, though. Some of the names and faces have changed. They're the same team. All right, New York Giants. Are they going to continue their success that they had a year ago?
Mm-hmm. So let's discuss their draft. So they got Deontay Banks, corner from Maryland, in the first round. Mm-hmm. That's fine. They got John Michael Schmidt, center, second round. That's fine. They got Jalen Hyatt in the third round.
That's a steal, I'd say.
Great value. Phenomenal value. They got their wide receiver. They got Paris Campbell in the offseason from the Colts. They got Darren Waller, tight end from the Raiders. So they re-signed Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton. So they have some weapons now. And that's kind of what they were missing last year. They didn't really have weapons. I like what they did a lot. I don't think their defense is up to par as it should be, but I like their offense a lot. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, got more weapons around Daniel Jones is exactly what they needed, and they still made the playoffs despite all that. See if Saquon can stay healthy for another season.
Yeah.
Because I still don't really trust that. I mean, he's had 2 or 3 injured injury-plagued seasons before this past one where he actually did manage to stay healthy. But I mean, yeah, it looks like they got better from what they did. It's just, can Daniel Jones keep up that success? Is he worth the $40 million a year that they're giving him? Can he throw more than 15 touchdowns in a season?
I think they win 8 games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say probably 9.
They have they won 9 games last season. I think they have a harder schedule this time around. I do think they got better though, but I'm gonna say 8 games. So that's what, 8 and 9.
Yep.
You say 9 and 8.
I'm not actually sure. I don't know how they'll be doing, but yeah, I don't know.
9 and 8.
9 and 8 sounds right. I mean, they did that this year, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think they got better. They kind of just looked the same. They kept Saquon with the franchise tag, right? So I mean, that's just I don't think you get him next year. So I mean, use them now, I guess, but I don't think they get better, and they definitely didn't get better. So I could see them doing worse, but I think 9 and 8 is a good, sure, close enough. So let's Cowboys. What do you think about the Cowboys?
They got Brandon Cooks as a wide receiver in the offseason. That's a big signing. I think. Yeah, they also got Stephon Gilmore, corner. So that was good.
That was a good trade.
Yeah, I thought they did well there. I think they wanted a tight end, and we did kind of predict this in our mock draft that the Giants would take the tight end before the Cowboys would in the draft. It wasn't the Giants, it was the Buffalo Bills that stole the Cowboys tight end, because that the Cowboys, they definitely wanted Dalton Kincaid. They didn't get him. They got some defensive tackle from Michigan instead.
Yeah.
I don't love their draft. I don't love the Cowboys draft. But the Cowboys always seem to win 10 games or 11 games every season, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say they win 11 again. I think that they did enough to compete again and maybe even win the division.
Yeah, I think they're the Eagles' biggest threat.
Easily.
In that division, because that defense is still scary. You got Michael Parsons moving to full-time pass rusher now. And, I mean, that offense, it's, you got Tony Pollard coming back from injury. They traded for Brandon Cooks from the Texans. That's a good number 2 or 3 receiver. I guess it depends where you rank him, but, between like Gallup and whatnot. Yeah, they're very solid roster. They probably got a little bit better than they did from a year ago even.
Yeah, I'm looking at that offensive line. They didn't really address it that much in the draft. They got one guy that I see here, but that offensive line is going to need some help because the other team in the division is the Eagles.
Yep.
Oh boy, and the Eagles did
Georgia
a lot.
Eagles.
Yeah, the Georgia Bulldog Eagles sure did a lot in this draft. They went out and got Jalen Carter, probably one of the best players in the draft.
Yep.
They got Nolan Smith somehow at the end of the first round.
Yeah, both those guys fell to him.
I don't know how. And then they got Keely Ringo later on as well. And if that wasn't enough, they somehow, basically for free, got DeAndre Swift from the Lions.
Yep.
As to fill the running back spot. So, and they were a Super Bowl team anyways. So, I think the Eagles should go theoretically have it be 12-win team.
Yeah.
I think they should be. I'm going to say they win 10 games.
Ooh. A little bit of a hangover.
Yeah. I think they win 10 games. I like the Eagles roster. I like what they did. Jalen Hurts is going to be motivated again. But this time around, they have the hardest schedule in the NFL. Not the easiest this time.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're facing a lot more talent, a lot more tough teams. And, yeah, Super Bowl hangover is a real thing.
Yep.
It's a real thing.
Ask the Rams.
It is. And I don't care how good you look on paper before the season. Ask the Rams.
Right, exactly.
Season.
It was like, oh, they got even better than from they won the Super Bowl. And that was not the case.
I think the Eagles did fine. They re-signed a lot of guys. Great job. And I think they had the best draft out of any team.
Mm-hmm.
Great job. But how's that going to translate onto the field? I don't know. Remember, we lost our offensive and our defensive coordinator. So you never know.
So that's going to wrap up this episode of the Veteran and Rookie Podcast. We weren't expecting to make this a two-parter, but it took us an hour to get to the NFC, which is just the halfway point. So tune in next week, and David will be back, and we'll be going through the AFC doing the exact same thing. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
I'm the little draft boy. Here comes the little draft boy.